What is up, guys? It is me, Real American Politics, here today with of course, the biggest election of the year so far, New Mexico's first prediction. A lot of people are excited for this election. There's doomers, there's boomers, there's all that stuff talking about this race. This is the race that everybody is watching, because this will be an indicator what the future of states like New Mexico, Texas, and what the midterms hold for us. Because this is a race where I don't believe Republicans will win. In fact, I think they're going to get clobbered. But if the Republicans get within 10 percentage points, that would be such a win. And the election mafia would cope so much. It would be glorious. Now, New Mexico's first is an intriguing election. It's a district that, you look at past results, hasn't done well for the Republicans. But, here is the but. You see, in 2020, Democrats won the district by around 16. And this is a district that I believe Trump lost by around 23. If you go up here, I believe it is 23 that he lost by. Donald Trump did. Yes, he lost by 23. So Republicans do a little bit better in the House races than the presidents do. The point is, Democrats won the district by 16 to 17. Go to 2016. Democrats won it by 31. And go before then, about 19 or 18. So even 8 years ago, this district slowly has gotten more Republican at the House races. Not really for the Republican races. But this district will not be won by the Republicans. Highly doubt it. If he does win it, the Republican, I will laugh. Alright? Hard. But point is, I don't think it will happen. What I do think, however, will happen is these trends will hold up, and I do believe that Republicans could get the race within 10. May seem crazy. You get those in the election mafia using this data. It is over! The Republicans are done. It's all over. Yada, yada, yada. Because of this data. The election mafia is coping so hard about this data. It's funny. Sure, Democrats are beating Republicans by twice the amount of total raw votes for early voting. Sure. Fine, that's reasonable. Democrats are around 59% of the early vote. Republicans are around 28.86% of the early vote. May seem terrible on paper, right? Not really. Because here's the ironic part. You go back to past election results here in this district. New Mexico's first. Look at the early and absentee voting data. Just look at that for a second. Democrats won the early and absentee voting data by around 19 in 2020. As you can tell, early and absentee data is supposed to favor the Democrats. So this idea that instantly this is great news for the Democrats of the early vote is absurd. I mean, Democrats are actually doing a bit worse than they should be. Significantly, in fact. I mean, this is a vote that they should be absolutely crushing Republicans with. I mean, this is just not the best numbers. And I'm going to show you why. So, yes, we get the point that, the early vote, Republicans got around 41% of it, when you include absentee data and early voting. But, here is the catch with this. Okay, this is the massive catch. Let us just go check a single state in the Southwest that had a competent ran election. Florida. And this is voted by mail. Look at this for a second. Democrats absolutely crushed the Republicans in early voting. They did. They beat the Republicans by 14 percentage points in early voting statewide. They didn't win the election in Florida. They got crushed in Florida. So this idea that, they're winning by a landslide early voting, yada, yada, yada. They won by 14 percentage points in early voting in Florida. and still got absolutely clobbered. Huh. I wonder. And here's the funny part. You go look at voting registration by party 2020. Look how close that is for party registration. Republicans and Democrats. Guys, this is not a good number. Democrats were around 1% more of the party registration statewide than Republicans. And they beat they beat the Republicans by 14 percentage points in the early vote. Or voted by mail. If you include the vote early, probably closer. But just looking at vote by mail, excuse my French. That is not good. They beat the Republicans by 14 times the amount they have for the gap between them and party registration. And they still got crushed. Now again, this is a state that's only D+1 in party registration. If you include voting by mail, or with voting early, then sure, it gets closer. But we're talking apples and oranges here. This is a D+1 state. This is a state, New Mexico, where it's D+14. Yeah, you forgot that? It's only D+14. And District 1, this is the special election, it's D+18 to 19. Huh. That is not good. And in fact, you just go to District 2. Just look at that for a second. Everybody knows what District 2 is. That is, of course, the Southern District, right, of New Mexico. That's D+1. That's by 500 people. It's more Democrat than Republican, yet Republicans win that district by 8 to 9 each year. So you also notice that there's a lot of those legacy Dems in the state of New Mexico that do vote Republican. This is something the election mafia is completely ignoring. There's a lot of Democrats in the state of New Mexico who vote for the Republicans. They're just lazy and they don't want to change parties. I mean, again, look at this. Yay, woohoo, we won the early and absentee vote, alright, in New Mexico's first, but we still only won it by 18, with the district's D+18. So either the Republicans won every single independent that voted, or they won some of the independents, but got a huge chunk of the Democrat voters. So realistically, this Democrats winning by, Democrats winning the district in early voting by 41, it's a bit horseshit. Because a lot of these Democrats are old-fashioned Democrats that are probably going to vote Republican, like they've done in the past. And even if you go to Texas, early voting, Republicans crushed Democrats at early voting. They got around 61% of the early vote. In a district that's around R+6, R+5, they beat them with 61% of the early vote. Yes, this is a D+19 district in New Mexico's first, but you just keep doing the math here. This isn't going to be a landslide for the Democrats. Now, when I say that the Republicans get crushed, they're not going to get within 5. That's just a no-brainer. But you just look at all this data, it keeps piling up that this early vote data is terrible news for the Republicans. Well, not really. When it's a D+18 district, when you had Florida, when it voted by mail, went 14 times the amount of early votes voted by mail than there were the gap between Democrats and Republicans in the state. Just keep doing the math for a second here. And it just keeps getting worse for the Democrats. I mean, Texas, early votes, which is supposed to favor the Democrats, Republicans crushed them. And there's a lot of Democrats that voted early. There is data that prove that. So this idea that just because it's Democrats voting by a ton doesn't mean squat. When in this state, a decent size of Democrats will vote Republican. Always. There's always a chunk of Democrats that have always voted Republican. That's why Kentucky, which is still, I believe, majority Democrat, votes heavy Republican. They just are so lazy they want to change parties that they just vote Republican. So what is my verdict on this race? A district that Democrats have won by 18, 17, 16 points, and a district that Trump lost by 23. How do I think the Republicans will do? They're going to get crushed. They're going to lose by 5 to 6, my opinion. So my opinion, it is a likely Democrat state, or district, I should say. The best Republicans can do is lose by 5 to 6. They're probably going to lose by 8 to 9. But these people saying that Democrats are going to win by 20 are nuts. This data is not a good sign for Democrats. But anyways, hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did, smash a like button down below. Subscribe, share with your friends. Hit that little bell, and yes. Thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you guys next time.